Hey, welcome to Draft Academy. My name's Mike. In this tutorial, I want to talk to you about if statements in Hexo. If statements are basically little pieces of code that we can insert into our layouts that help those layouts to make decisions. So when certain conditions are met, we can do certain things, and when certain conditions aren't met, we can do other things. The best way for me to explain if statements is really just to give a demonstration. I'm over here in my post.ejs file, and this is one of the layouts on my site, and this layout is used for all of the blog posts on my website. So any blog posts, like I have this a.markdown file and this b.markdown file, any of those blog posts are going to be using this template. So on this template, I want to use an if statement. So I'm accessing this page.author variable, and both of my markdown files here have author attributes associated to them. So on this post file, I want to print out a certain line of code when the author is Mike, and I want to print out a certain line of code when the author is not Mike. So how could we do that? Well, we can use an if statement. And the way you write an if statement is with two open closed greater than less thans, 2% signs, and then in here we just want to type out if, and then parentheses. And inside of this parentheses, we want to put our condition. So I'm going to check to see if page.title is equal to Mike. Actually, this should be page.author, although we could use title. And then after these parentheses, I'm going to put a open curly bracket and only an open curly bracket. Now, down here, we're going to put another statement for our if structure, and this is going to be an else. And so I want to say if the author is Mike, we're going to do something. Otherwise, so else, we're going to do something else. So with this else, you just need a open curly bracket. And it's important to note that before we write this else, we're also going to need a closed curly bracket. So this curly bracket corresponds to this curly bracket. And this curly bracket is going to correspond to a curly bracket that we're going to write down here. And we're going to put that right here. So this is the entirety of our if statement structure. Now, inside of here, I can write some code that's going to get executed if Mike is the author. So in here, I'll just say Mike is the author, he's the best. And then down here, if the author's not me, we can just say this author sucks, okay? Which is probably true now. So what should happen now is when I refresh this page over here, right below where it says the author's name, it should print out whether or not the author's me. So let's refresh the page, and we'll see that because I was the author, it printed out Mike is the author, he's the best. If we go over to this B file, and now inside this B file, Steve is the author, and I don't know who Steve is, but let's see what the program has to say about him. We go over to B and it says, oh, okay, this author sucks. So that's the basics of using an if statement. And you can use if statements, really just to help your program make decisions about different things. And inside of these conditions, you can basically write any condition you want. So I could say, like, instead of checking if two strings are equal to each other, I could check numbers. So like if 1 is greater than 0, and in this case, it should say this because 1 is greater than 0. So you can check things like that. You can check things like that. You can also just check to see if certain front matter variables are set. So I can say in here if page.author. And what this is going to do is just to check to see if the author is set. So when we refresh, obviously it says this because the author is set. But if I go over to this B file and I remove the author, then it's going to update to this author sucks because that front matter variable wasn't set. So that's just a couple ways that you can use these if statements. And obviously you can get more complex with them and more complicated. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to Draft Academy to be the first to know when we release new content. Also, we're always looking to improve, so if you have any constructive criticism or questions or anything, leave a comment below. Finally, if you're enjoying Draft Academy and you want to help us grow, head over to draftacademy.com/contribute and invest in our future.